college, I decided that I wanted to be a teacher. I had worked with children for years at after-school programs and tutor sessions, and I thought that that was the right move for me. In one of my first education classes in college, my professor asked the class, "What is the first word that comes to mind when thinking about education?" One of the students asked the professor what his word would be, and he chose the word sacrifice. And I think that's very telling as to what it means to actually be a teacher and to have that experience under your belt. In so many versions of media, teachers are painted as zany, they're painted as carefree or trying to buck the system, but often the most realistic parts of being a teacher are left out, like teacher turnover or lack of appropriate pay. Even when a lot of movies or entertainment areas touch on that, it's often a sense of comedic value and doesn't touch on the grave nature of just how much this is affecting the ability for teachers to do their job. For so many teachers these days, there's an issue of funding. There's an issue of being able to give the students what they actually need, whether you're in affluent areas or in teaching in schools that are Title I. Education becomes a whole different obstacle and set of barriers when you're teaching in Title I schools, in suburban areas. A lot of Title I schools don't have the resources they need. They have old books, they have outdated technology, they have high teacher turnover rates, and they have people that come into these schools that aren't able to relate to the kids. I interviewed Miss Grass, a kindergarten teacher who spent 3 years in Title I schools and 3 years in a school in Fayette County, which is one of the top performing counties in Georgia.
Miss Grass, in her most recent year of teaching, received the Teacher of the Year award. Here she speaks about teacher turnover rates and also class number sizes. The higher class size in the Title I school directly correlates to the budgetary restrictions on lower income areas and having to have more students in a classroom to avoid more costs of paying additional teachers.
I noticed a lot of differences between the Title I schools and the non-Title I school that I most recently worked at, the first being class size. As a kindergarten classroom, the maximum amount of students you are allowed to have is 22, and in all of my Title I experience, the first 3 years, I had 22 students, versus my most recent experience in Fayette County at a non-Title I school, I had 18 students in each class. Now, that 4 student doesn't really seem like it would make a big difference, but when you are teaching reading and teaching counting and pulling small groups and really trying for individualized instruction and catering to the student, that makes a huge difference. There was also a difference between teacher turnover in Title I versus non-Title I schools. I noticed that many teachers would get burned out at Title I schools for various reasons, like the large class sizes, possible behavior problems, versus in Fayette County, you would see teachers that have been teaching for 20, 30 years that had never left the school or the county because they loved being a part of a community that they felt valued, as well as, of course, a smaller class size is much more enjoyable to teach.
With high turnover rate, it's almost impossible to be able to instill ideals into your teachers and students that you're able to work on and improve from year to year or even from day to day. A lot of areas of poverty simply do not have what they need to function. There's schools going on strike because of conditions in the school.
There are teachers walking out because they're not getting the pay they need. And this is across the country, not just in Title I schools. So it really presents a problem as to how children in areas of poverty and children in Title I schools are supposed to succeed, or even improve some of the circumstances when a lot of these issues are just a problem and revolving around the actual profession of education itself. especially when representation of teachers and what it actually means to be in a classroom is not accurate. The information that is getting out in entertainment is only highlighting parts of education that are harming the ability for teachers to improve the livelihoods of students across the board. When the actual representation of teachers in the media and entertainment is one of lighthearted nature or belittles the actual profession, it makes it hard for teachers' voices to be taken seriously and for the real problems to be brought to light in a way that will bring about and inspire change.